Hi, welcome to this edition of Clear Thinking Digest. My name is Go. We're still in the Intelligence Upgrade series, and today I'm going to be talking about a distinctive mindset of the 1% thinkers that will get you to the top 1% of your career. And I'm here talking about pattern thinking and process thinking. These are two distinctive mindsets that if you adopt them in your thinking process, in the way you analyze and interpret the world, you're going to get yourself to interpret the world properly, accurately, fast enough, and get decisions made on a better level that will get you the results that you need. So I'm going to start with the first, which is pattern thinking. So what actually is pattern thinking? You see, to understand that, you have to go back to nature. Nature in itself, nature creates with patterns. Nature creates through patterns. It creates reality using fractals of patterns that creates layers of structures, and then using those layers of structures, it creates many of the things that you see in the world. So for example, you have the leaves. If you observe the patterns in the leaf, you understand that there is a rhythmic pattern that actually creates the beauty, the final beauty that emerges when you closely observe a leaf of a plant. These structures of patterns can be seen in the mountains, in the different structures that you see in the world. The moon, the sky, the shape of the sky, the blue and the beautiful structures that you see everywhere around you, manifested in every aspect of nature. So that is how nature creates reality. It creates the reality that we perceive through patterns. Now, our minds on their own try to perceive these patterns. We try to understand reality by using our cognitive structures to try to fit into these patterns. We take signals from nature, and then we try to create structures of patterns in our minds, sequences of patterns in our minds. That is how we make sense of the world. So thinking in itself is the process of rearranging the patterns in our minds to correspond with our experience. So we are experiencing the world. We are engaging the world. We're getting feedback from the world. We're getting signals from the world in form of experiences. But if we don't align our thinking, the patterns in our minds, with the patterns that we're getting from the experiential feedback from the world, we will not be able to effectively think. So to really understand this, I want to take you to how we actually perceive the world. So reality is a whirlpool of infinite possibilities that is always evolving. That is always evolving there. So what our mind does is, when we try to perceive the world, we take snapshots of these whirlpool of infinite possibilities. Now, when we take these snapshots, that we take, we create a mental framework, a cognitive framework from these snapshots, and then we call that reality. We call that our world, because that is what we are able to perceive. But that is not the whole reality. It is only an aspect of reality. Now, it is from these snapshots that we've taken that we create the mental framework, and then our mental framework comes in form of our culture. It creates our belief system, and it creates our traditions. So these things now become what we use to make sense of the world. So whenever we are perceiving the world, we try to make sense of the world using these structures in our minds, these patterns that we have created. So understand that we all are pattern thinkers. Everything that we do is about pattern thinking. So the thinking, like I explained, is the rearrangement of patterns in our minds to correspond with the experience that we have in outside. So we are all pattern thinkers. Now, but the kind of pattern thinking that we do, like I've explained from the explanation, is we try to fit data into the reality that we experience so that it can correspond with it. So this kind of pattern thinking is called sense making. So what we do when we engage the world, when we try to understand the world, We are trying to make sense of the world when we try to engage the world through the different structures and the different ways that we do it. So it is called sense making, and it's a form of thinking that deals with fitting data into into reality, into our cognitive structures for reality, so that we can make sense of it, so that it can correspond with our experience. That is what sense making is all about. And so we see sense making manifested in the different things that we do when we study, when you read books. What the author is trying to do is to help you make sense of what he's describing from his own worldview. When you see graphic pictures, the whole essence of graphic design and filmmaking is about sense making. They're helping you to understand the world from their own worldview. So they're giving you structures, patterns in place so that you can fit the information, the data they are giving you into new structures so that you can create a better understanding of the world. So you're trying to make sense of the world. That's what you're doing with these structures. Now, the highest point of sense making is storytelling, is the art of storytelling. So in storytelling, you are taken on a journey that allows you to explore different structures, and it embodies the emotions, the feelings, the cognitive structures that created that in reality. It simulates, it gives you an almost perfect simulation of the reality that it tries to paint. So that is the highest point of sense making, storytelling. But there is another form of pattern thinking that gives you an edge, that goes above sense making, and that is meaning making. You see, in meaning making, what you actually do is that you're using data to create new reality. So unlike in sense making, when you're using data to fit into your experience, to fit into reality, so that your experience, your thinking can correspond with your experience, in meaning making, what you do is you use new data to create a new reality. And so this involves you taking new snapshots of reality, going into the whirlpool of infinite possibilities that characterize reality, and then you take a different snapshot that is quite different from what is in your mental framework already. And so you see that when you have come to the point where you have actually created new data, gotten new data, and then fitted that data into a structure that makes sense, then you will create a new form of reality that is quite different from your culture and from your belief system. So what actually gives you an edge when you engage in meaning making and not just sense making? Sense making is the default state of our perception of the world. That's how we perceive the world. But what gives you an edge when you go from sense making into meaning making as a form of as your pattern thinking is that it allows you to make unusual connections in the things that you see. So you make unusual connections. You see what others cannot see, and then you perceive what others cannot perceive, and then you create what others cannot create. So it's an advanced level of pattern thinking, and that is what gives the top 1% people in every career the edge to go above every other person. So there you go. Thank you for listening today. That's my message for you today. The ideas I have explored in this video are contained in my upcoming book, A Journey to 1%, where I explore principles, strategies, and approaches that will help you to upgrade your intelligence and then get to the top 1% of your career. This book is coming out in the course of this year, so look out for it. If you've enjoyed this video, the lessons I've shared in this video, please feel free to tell me what you think about it. Drop your comments in the comments section and I will readily respond to them. If you're seeing this on YouTube, please endeavor to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button so that you can be the first to know when these videos appear, when these messages appear. And if you're seeing this on Facebook, then please like my page and hit the notification buttons so that you can get these videos whenever they drop every week, like I do drop them. Thank you so much for joining me in this edition of Clear Thinking Digest, and I will see you again in the next video.